Hi, it's Thomas. We're in Ghana, the internet capital of Africa. If you ever wonder what happens to computers that you donate to one of those green e-recycling programs, this is basically it. Kids from the north of Ghana come to this junkyard during the summer to break computers down for scrap and also inhale things that will probably end up giving them cancer of the everything.
So you can see all these are waste from computers. You see the place is very dirty, yeah, so it's very bad for our health.
Most of the computers are only worth $1 or $2 of copper you can melt out of them, but occasionally you harvest something useful, like a hard drive or a processor, which you can sell at the little flea market area next to the charnel grounds.
So here is the motherboard.
Ah, okay. If you're an especially savvy shopper, you can actually put together a full working computer here, one ready to connect you to the fastest internet in all of Africa. Ghana puts a lot of stock in computers. Their internet is directly linked to Great Britain's, and there are billboards all over the capital extolling the virtues of personal computing. Ghana already is sort of the top dog of West Africa, where most of its neighbors have been plagued by war and poverty since independence. Ghana's had almost 50 years of stability and growth. Right now, they're hoping foreign investment will bolster the computer industry here, which will kind of permanently make them the tech capital of West Africa. So far, it hasn't quite materialized, but what has materialized is a thriving underground economy of fraud and witchcraft called Sakawa.
Once upon a time, Ghana then, gold glittered, there came 3 vultures in the form of white men. They gradually stole our gold and other resources. It is with their technological intelligence, which is the internet, that we are taking back what belongs to us.
Sakawa could be any fraud type: lottery, scam, auction, hitman, scam, romance, scam. But once you attempt to woo your victim through some spiritual coercion, then it moves from the realm of just ordinary fraud to what we call Sakawa here in Ghana. So for me, it's merging of a 21st century technology and perhaps an age-old African practice.
Sakawa dates back to Nigeria's oil boom in the late 70s. Ghanaians came into the country to take jobs in the oil fields, and the locals taught them their favorite pastime, the pen pal scam. The way it works is, you write to someone in America or England, tell them about an investment opportunity you have, or just straight up ask them for money, then they send it to you and that's it, scam over. Eventually, the Nigerian government deported all the Ghanaian guest workers back home, and they brought the pen pal scam with them. Then they combined it with magic.
People at the time would take their letters of correspondences to malams or juju people, to be charmed or to be preyed on, so that once they send those correspondence to their friends abroad, the desired results would be realized. And I believe from the coming in of the internet from around about 1993, that's where it really became prevalent. And it came to the full light and to the full glare of the public, basically.
As the internet took hold in Ghana, the pen pal scam was adapted to email. Then scammers started hooking up with hackers online and incorporating things like credit card fraud into their scams, which became increasingly complex and lucrative. We kind of liked the idea of making a living off the back of American stupidity, so we hooked up with a Sakawa gang, led by a young Ghanaian named Sefa.
When we say Sakawa, it means the online shopping.
Okay.
The online shopping is when you use people's credit card, to shop online and then receive the goods down here. That is known as the Sakawa.
And now the term just gets used.
Yes, people don't
for everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Most of us, came from a poor background that we couldn't get any support from anywhere. I wouldn't like to, carry guns all around me, probably to go rob a bank or something. So the idea of the internet came.
Sefa's a Sakawa success story. He's used his old scam earnings to pay for business school and has made a nice living for himself by Ghanaian standards. Although he still has to cross a stream of urine every night to get into his house. Sakawa comprises any number of online scams, but the majority boil down to two basic types. One, you pretend you're a sexy girl, convince someone to fall in love with you, then they send you money. This is called the romance scam. The other one is you use stolen or forged credit card number to buy something online, then you have it shipped to someone in the West who sends you money for it. That one's called the shopping scam. These two scams sort of work like templates, and once you nail down the basics of them, you can start combining them and adding all sorts of personalized details until your mark feels like he's in the middle of some elaborate international business scheme, and not just emailing back and forth with an African kid on a laptop. The thing with Sakawa is while it's essentially free money, it isn't easy money. To find someone gullible enough to fall for your shtick, you have to spend hours and hours emailing hundreds and thousands of random addresses.
Sakawa rules that very severe here in Ghana. There were this group of people who were visiting Juju, having snakes. The boys seek spiritual guidance to help them get something out of this browsing, this scam activities. We believe in black magic and all those stuff, and it really works.
In America, frustrated gamblers will kiss a lucky penny or pray to Saint Bernardino for help. Likewise, frustrated Sakawa boys turn to religion when they're down on their luck. Only in their case, turning to religion means driving out into the bush and paying a Juju priest for magic email powers.
Are you in Africa?
I'm definitely in Africa right now. Juju is the local term for what fancy anthropology types call traditional African religion. In the same way that Hinduism is actually more or less a collection of thousands of local deities and rituals, Juju is basically an umbrella for any West African religious practice that isn't obviously Christianity or Islam, or Scientology. One aspect central to all forms of Juju is that the spirit world is morally neutral. As in, the gods don't give a shit what you and I do to each other, as long as they get paid. This makes Juju perfect for Sakawa. If you want to leg up on the competition, you get his Juju priest to barter with the spirits and then they give you powers. So the point of the Juju ceremony we're dancing in isn't to win converts or teach some sort of lesson like in church. It's to demonstrate the priest's ends with the spirit world and advertise his powers. Powers like channeling a god who can't be cut by knives, or channeling another god who likes throwing eggs. Why is he throwing eggs?
It's eggs. Yeah, they are eggs. Yeah.
Like, why does he throw them?
He likes eggs.
Oh. Wasted powers. The flip side to all this is once you make a deal with the gods, you're bound to their terms. If you piss them off or default on payment to your Juju priest, you end up with the opposite of powers, like bad luck or AIDS. On top of that, the payment process itself can be pretty tricky.
Some of the rituals that I ask to be observed by these Sakawa guys varies greatly. Someone is asked not to eat a certain type of food. Some are even asked to sleep in a coffin. Some could go as far as asking for the menstrual pad of their girlfriend or the woman. Once these things they believe are observed, then their desired results they are able to achieve.
Westerners may find stuff like magic eggs and tampon eating a little hard to swallow, but it's serious business over here, and not just with like superstitious bumpkins. Even educated cosmopolitan folks like Sefa believe in this.
Right now, with the aspect of the chatting, pen pals and all those stuff, if you don't really go to Juju, you will never get a penny. You will never get a penny. So they are in for the Juju thing seriously. Seriously. And that's not a joke.
Besides, is any of this really that much weirder than shit like communion or circumcision?
What you control my man? Abua casually. Abua. Bonus you say here.
That part was a little rough.
Come on, I'm young Kasha. Then I'm not getting it.
So Sakawa originally referred to a very specific type of internet fraud mixed with Juju. Then it went on to mean any internet crime involving witchcraft, and now it's kind of evolved into its own full-blown subculture. So there's Sakawa music, Sakawa movies, Sakawa cars, a Sakawa style of dressing.
Almost everybody knows about Sakawa now. If you're a young guy and then you buy a car, everybody knows it's out of Sakawa. If you're a young guy and then you dress so flashy, everybody knows it's Sakawa.
Sakawa guys are not necessarily hardened criminals that live within the underworld of society. They live with people, people see them. So it's not anything that is necessarily an underworld kind of a crime.
Right now, Ghana is in the throes of Sakawa mania. It's in all the papers and movie theaters. It's bigger than rap. I'm looking for Sakawa movies. Oh, cool, here's number 3. If you want a glimpse at just how deeply Sakawa has penetrated the public consciousness, check this out. They're already up to Sakawa Boys 8. And the series just started last year. We're on our way to meet a guy who makes films about Sakawa. His name is Socrates Sappho. He's actually like the Martin Scorsese of Ghanaian internet fraud-based gangster films. The Ghanaian film industry, or Gollywood, operates on kind of a more is more principle of movie making. They crank out hundreds of titles a year, most of them shot on zero budget and as quickly as a couple of weeks from start to finish. This speed doesn't do much for production values, but it does allow them to respond to current events and to cater their subject matter to their countrymen's exact interests.
Anytime you decide to bring my food, wear something like this so that it will be easy to carry.
My name is Sakawa Sappho and I'm a filmmaker from Ghana. I know I have more than 100 films that I've made here since 1988. I don't believe in superficial, extraordinary, astrological stories, no. I always want to talk about
like realistic.
Yeah,
things
realistic,
from real life.
Okay, stand by.
Well, I've worked on 18-19 movies with Sakawa Sappho so far, yeah. With the Western movies, they have a lot of guns, a lot of technology, a lot of robots and things, space and things. And in Ghana, we don't know anything about space. The fact that we've heard of it doesn't mean that, yes, there is space. Fine, there is space, but we don't do those kind of movies. In movies produced by Sakawa Sappho, we are trying to produce Africa movies to African. We're trying to project Africa to African. So that is our main motive.
Okay, cut. The Sakawa trend was becoming popular around, and there were a whole lot of stories about them. But everybody was doing it on the quiet. They don't know what it is about. So we look at them and say, come on, why don't we do something about these guys?
Yeah, always talk of this. You see how your internet fraud thing never work. It never work. Watch your back. Before it will work for you, I need to introduce you to Malam Isa.
We really went to the depth of exactly what happened with this internet fraud. I really even went to an extent of visiting a shrine with one of the guys. Internet fraud, I see it as blood money because they use human blood for their rituals.
Ain't you got nothing better to do? You asked for it.
Socrates' movie touched a nerve in the national psyche and brought the issue of Sakawa to life for a lot of Ghanaians who otherwise wouldn't have heard of it.
I remember when we were shooting a scene where somebody was carrying a coffin. We shot it in an isolated area like a footpath. There were these two guys coming. They could see only the light, but they couldn't see us standing by the lights and filming. And when they met him, they started running. Because there is this story If you meet those who were carrying the coffins, you will die. We managed to explain ourselves, but still people couldn't believe that it was a movie we were shooting.
Yeah. Since being thrust into the mainstream, though, Sakawa has drawn a huge outcry from government officials, tabloids, and Christian preachers, whose billboards in Accra are almost as ubiquitous as ads for computer classes and Juju priests.
Not a single day passed that I don't get not less than 3 or 4 calls from radio stations, one interview after the other. And when you listen to the program, they even bring these pastors on and try to pray for us. The whole thing looks like there's a divide. Some are saying that, look, we are rather educating the people how to go about it. And those who are saying that, no, it is a positive thing, that they should show it so that the kids will not go into it.
While the furor over Sakawa dominates the tabloids and pulpits, the focus is all on black magic and blood debts and Sakawa boys turning each other into goats and snakes. None of it tackles the root of the problem, the fact that over a third of young Ghanaians are unemployed, and what jobs there are filled by corrupt government officials and their cousins.
There's this adage that has it that the devil finds work for the idle hands. Most of them are idle. And I guess it's not because they're not willing to work. They just can't find the jobs. They're not there.
These are guys who were struggling in the neighborhood. All of a sudden they have money. And when you talk to these guys, that is what they'll tell you. They are struggling and they needed the money. They need money. So what should they do? So that is the one side of the problem we had.
Up until now, the government's been more than happy to turn a blind eye to Sakawa, since it's basically providing regular work for people that they can't. There are also persistent rumors that Sakawa isn't just limited to gangs of teenage delinquents, but is actually a popular sideline among policemen, soldiers, and politicians.
I don't know if you're aware, but Ghana has been banned from most e-trading sites. Ghana's reputation as a peaceful, friendly, and an investor-friendly country now stands tainted in the sense that we are 6th in the world in cybercrime.
Now that Sakawa is threatening Ghana's business reputation, the government's cracking down, and them and the press have started a moral panic over it. Just like gangster rappers in the early 90s, Sakawa boys have gone from objects of sort of cultural fascination to scapegoats for all their country's ills.
There is too much unemployment in the system. And every now and then, each government that comes wants to introduce something new. Most of the ideas and the policies that comes don't help the youth. So the youth are just walking around. What do you want them to do? And if I can easily go on the net and then get some cash on it, why not?
I think the plot always is that the Sakawa guys are the bad ones. Yes, in the movie they live very lavish lifestyles, they get the money and all that, but the end always is death or some suffering. For me, I believe it's a game where the scammer is both a victim and a violin, in the sense that the perceived occult dimension is also able to kill or destroy the life of many of these young people.
I foresee this Sakawa trend becoming dangerous. They don't know how to do any job. All they know is how to hook people on the net. When they send the mails and the money, the replies are not coming in, they need money, they become desperate. And the more desperate they are, the more they move from one spiritualist to the other. Now, it is not going to be about the internet fraud anymore. It is going to be about blood money. Taking maybe your sister or your child to the fetish for him to give you money. That is what it's going to get. And it's dangerous. Yeah. It's dangerous. Africa is not safe.
The end of Sakawa may not necessarily bring Juju Armageddon to Ghana, but it will leave a bunch of angry young men without any source of steady income, which is arguably even scarier. On a lighter note, Ghana just discovered oil off its shore, so maybe that'll solve all their problems.